Hello and welcome to Ask GCN Anything. It's that time of the week when we go through all your questions about cycling.
Yeah, if you would like to ask us a question for next week, don't forget to leave a comment in the box below using the hashtag Torqueback.
And if you wanted to be in with a chance of winning 3 months subscription from our good friends over at Zwift, then use the hashtag AskGCNTraining.
That's a pretty cool prize, that. 3 months.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Cool, right then, let's
Without
get
further
stuck in.
ado, let's get to it.
Our first question here is from Lewis Woe. Hi GCN, often when I am watching bike races, especially Grand Tours, when some riders are taking it easy, I see many riders are just chilling out and talking to each other. A very current example being Sagan and Gaviria during the early stages of the Tour de France. I'm always interested in what they're talking about. As most of you GCN hosts are ex-pros, could you give me some insight into what you guys talked about? Tactics, food, the weather?
Yeah, I mean, when it goes easy enough and you kind of have a bit of time to talk, you're kind of always talking about everything but the race. Your kids, your family, what you got up to when you're at home, how your pets are, what pros kind of want to do is they want to take their mind off the race. So you kind of just want to chill out and, chat to your mates, really.
Yeah, I mean, it gets pretty stressful towards the important parts of a bike race. So anything you can do to lower your stress levels earlier on, it's kind of like your lunch break. Look at it that way. So if you've got 5 minutes to spare, then you're going to have it a little bit easier and just chill out.
Yeah, exactly. But it would be nice to kind of have microphones on all the riders, because I would love to know what Sagan's saying to Gaviria.
Yeah, probably couldn't air most of the stuff they talk about though, could you?
No, probably not. And the pros probably wouldn't want to have mics on them all the time. But let's put it to the ASO and see what happens.
Next up, we have a question from Sumanth Kashyap. Don't the riders ever complain about the petrol and diesel cars smoking from the exhaust in the race? Why can't or haven't the teams changed their cars to electric with so many in the market with good range enough to cover the race? One problem I face when I commute is the smoke blasting into my face from these cars. And it's quite an interesting question actually, because I remember back in the early days of my career, when diesel engines especially weren't that great, you really did suffer with it. But these days, engines are a lot cleaner, I would say.
Yeah, it's funny you say that as well, because I did have a little think about this question. And I was thinking, do I notice it when I'm racing? But the peloton's in front of the convoy. So you've only got really one car, maybe a couple of motorbikes in front of you. So it doesn't really feel like, when you're commuting through traffic, you don't have that kind of feeling. But I also did some digging and I found out that the EF Education First World Tour Pro Cycling team, they've got a Tesla as their team car. So, I think some electric cars and stuff like that should kind of sponsor cycling, and as it's green and energy efficient and good for the planet.
Pretty good idea. I didn't know that they had an electric car actually.
Yeah, I think it was seen at Ride London.
Oh wow, good. Big thumbs up to EF.
Yeah, so there, more electric cars in the Pro Peloton to come.
And the winner of this week's 3-month subscription from our friends at Zwift is Chelsea Achterberg.
Well done, Chelsea.
Indeed. Chelsea has been riding for about 4 years and improved a lot in the first 2 to 3, but seems to have plateaued around 2 to 2.6 watts per kilo for her threshold. I would like to keep improving as I'm only 26, but I'm overwhelmed at trying to find a long-term focus for my rides to keep on improving. How can I do this?
Well, Chelsea, it's we all kind of get to that point. When we're beginner cyclists, we've all kind of been there. The gains are so massive, and you're going at such a trajectory that eventually it's going to have to plateau. But what you got to think about is if you're kind of riding 200 watts all the time, every day, you're never going to get better. Because what you need to do is think about when you train. You break down those molecular structures, and then you rest, and those molecular structures then recover, and they basically make more and repair over the top of more than you had before.
And that's what makes you stronger.
And that's ultimately what makes you stronger. So there's 3 points you kind of need to look at to kind of increase those and break more down, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, and that's volume, intensity, and frequency. You need to think about how much volume are you doing in your training? Is it enough to constantly put your body under a stress? The frequency of your training sessions. Are you only doing 3 rides a week, for example? Or could you increase that to 5? And then the intensity of your rides as well. However, whilst you're thinking about all of those, you also need to add in time for rest and recovery, as what James just said, that is when you get stronger.
And what you got to think about also is when you kind of change one, so you change the volume, that is going to impact on the others. So we've got a few points here that should help you in your training.
So Chelsea, what you need to do is make a bit of a change to the activity that you're currently doing and include some really good specific training in your schedule.
Yes, so you're happy and comfortable riding at 2.6 watts per kilogram, but what you want to do is train above that. But what you want to do is train above that, but only for a short period of time. So Zwift have got this perfect session called under ones, and that really makes you do harder efforts, over your comfortable threshold of wattage, but for a shorter period of time, and that will kind of, bring you on to another level, hopefully.
They sound pretty painful to me, but you'll really be pushing yourself harder, and that is what's going to help bring you a new level of fitness that you've been looking for.
But every time we train hard, if it's painful, it means it's working, right?
Every time I ride my bike with you at the moment, it's been way too fast.
You get better, that's why.
So talking about that session that Zwift have recommended, called Under Ones, a challenging high-intensity interval workout session that focuses on repeated efforts under 1 minute. The workout consists of just 5 minutes of high-intensity work, however, short recovery periods, and your lactate tolerance will really be tested.
The session is divided into 3 blocks of work, 12 times 10-second sprints with 50 seconds recovery, and you're definitely going to want to take that recovery.
Yeah, you are.
And then 6 times 15-second sprints with 45 seconds recovery, and lastly 3 times 30-second sprints with 30 seconds recovery, and your stress points is around 52. So it's a pretty hard session, but it's one that you'll definitely benefit from.
Yeah, and it's not a long session, so it should be quite easy for you to fit that into your schedule somewhere.
How can you cycle for a long time in an aero position without getting a really sore back? Well, this is a very good question, because I think we've all been there.
Yeah, we have, and it's generally not that pretty, is it, to start with? It takes a long time. So you want to just do it in short periods to start with. You want to find a position that you can actually put out a little bit of power in, and it's still aerodynamic. That's the important thing, is to try and find that balance. And then once you've got to that, you really want to build it up incrementally. So don't just go out there and hope to hold it for an hour, 2 hours, or however long your time trial is. You want to aim to do it in like blocks of 5 minutes, 5 minutes on, 2 minutes off. And if that doesn't work for you, you can have a longer period off. But I wouldn't go out there and expect to be able to hold it straight away, because it is quite a demanding position to hold. It's not natural. It's not like your road bike.
No, it's definitely not a position the body wants to sit in. So
No.
I think what we're saying here is go out and practice and just let the body adapt. So.
And you do want to stay on top of your stretching, because that will just help the levels of comfort. It will give your muscles a wider range of motion, and generally a time trial position is in a more acute, the angles are going to be a lot tighter. So if you're more flexible, you will be able to do it a little bit easier.
So stretching and time.
Yeah, we have a question from Cree. Hi GCN. The last couple of weeks I got caught in a few spots of rain. First time since riding on carbon wheels, and although I'm very happy with the braking performance in the dry, I found in the wet braking performance isn't even half as good. So bad, in fact, that for my 6-day sportive in the Dolomites later this year, I feel that I have to go back to aluminium rims. My question is, are there any modern carbon wheels around that in the wet are just as good as aluminium rims, or in my experience pretty typical for carbon braking performance in the wet? Needless to say, I don't yet have disc brakes. Well, you know what, Cree, I completely feel your pain on that one, because we raced on carbon rims for, years. I can't remember not racing on carbon rims, actually.
We've all been there, haven't we? When you touch the brakes.
And nothing happens, and you have that little moment of panic, and you're like, are we going to stop? Generally speaking, everyone's in the same situation, and actually it is a real major flaw, and that is, for me, the main reason to have disc brakes, is your brakes will actually work. But there are a few things you can do. You can go for like a little safety squeeze and release, and then reapply the brakes. So that will try and clear the layer of water, the film that's built up on the rim, on the braking surface. There are some carbon wheels that are kind of designed with grooves in them to help shed that water. But yeah, in reality, nothing's going to be quite as effective in the wet as your aluminium rims. They are just that much better. I'm not sure if it's...
I think you're right on that. I think you're always going to have, carbon rims in the wet.
Yeah.
Aren't ideal.
But that said, you could quite happily navigate the Dolomites on carbon rims in the wet. You just have to be prepared to not go as fast in a straight line and just...
Use the brakes more.
Use your brakes more, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're going to go through your pads pretty quick either way in the Dolomites because it's steep. But
I mean, you would know. You went and did the
went through a set of pads in a day, yeah.
Right, the next question is from MRO or MRO. How do you manage the degreaser and its possible effect on the environment, as there are likely thousands of cyclists degreasing daily? Is there a biodegradable degreaser? Well, the answer to your question is yes, there is. So it will only take you a few seconds to chuck it into Google, but you will find quite a few, top-end brands that do, biodegradable degreaser.
And if you don't want to go that route, why not try lemon juice and sugar? See if that works for you.
Have you used that?
I'm pretty sure in an emergency I've used anything, yeah.
Have you?
Washing powder, that doesn't really work that well.
Yeah.
But no, biodegradable degreasers really are a thing, and they are really good. Like if you've got kids or pets at home especially, it's a great way of just making sure that no one's going to end up with any nasty, irritations anywhere.
So there you have it. They're out there. You just got to find them. The next question from Ian Gillon. White or black socks?
Black socks. Every single day of the week, black socks. You know why? They stay black.
I mean, that's a good point. I love white socks, and white socks and white shoes just look pang.
But it does look good, but my issue is half an hour into your bike ride, you're all of a sudden no longer looking as good as you were.
Which is a bit of an issue.
However, there is something you can do. If you want new socks every single month, why not sign up to the Sock Club?
Yes, so when you sign up to the GCN Club, you get a new set of socks every month. And you start off with the Founder socks when you sign up, and then this month edition is the Vuelta sock, which are really cool. So yeah, if you're a sock kind of guy and you want a new pair of socks every month, then yeah, get signed up.
Black or white socks will no longer be the only question you have. It'll be, do I wear this one's number 3, number 7?
I mean, that's a good thing to have, isn't it? Next question from J Spaceman 71. Would neck pain during a ride be caused by too wide handlebars? I sometimes get a bit of neck pain and shoulder area during a long ride, and one suggestion I read is to go with narrow handlebars. So Chris, I know you're a bit, do a bit of mountain biking, and you're used to using wide handlebars. Have you got anything to say on that question?
Well, it certainly can put extra strain because the muscles are going to be more constricted than they would be if you had a slightly more relaxed and neutral position.
It kind of puts more weight on, if you go narrow, you're kind of putting less weight on the shoulders. But one thing you can do is kind of, lie on the floor, get a tennis ball and put that in between your back and your shoulder blades and try and loosen it off, because, sometimes it can get tight and a bit knotty.
Looks like James has answered the question. But yeah, there are a few extra stretches you can do, which will help relieve any built-up tension that's in the muscles there. So like simple neck stretches and back stretches. It's actually quite hard to stretch some of those muscles, so you have to spend a little bit of time working on that, and they're quite subtle stretches, but it's well worth investing a little time to do that. Yeah,
and recently Emma did do a core exercise, and if you did want to focus on core and stretching, then give this video a watch.
This is a variation on the plank, which you've probably heard of, but it's a bit harder than a plank because you've got your elbows on a stability ball, which ironically is not as stable as the ground. Now, initially, you should just try and hold this for a minute whilst really engaging your core and keeping your back as flat as possible.
Next up, we have a question from Brad Williams, and he would like to know, what is the best way to raise your VO2 max?
Well, I mean, everyone wants to raise their VO2 max, don't they? But we have got the perfect video for you. So check it out behind us.
The first session is one that you may well have seen before here on GCN, micro intervals. They are a great way of increasing your VO2 max. For all of these sessions, it's important that you get in a good warm-up to begin with because they are quite intense. So at least 20 to 30 minutes of steady riding. After which, on this one, you're going to be doing 40 20s.
Right, next training question from Steve Haskew. 2 questions about fasted rides. Firstly, is there any negative impact of going too hard on a fasted ride other than risking the bonk? Secondly, does a sweet testing but 0-calorie electrolyte tablet in a drink still make it a fasted ride?
Well, yeah. So to answer the second question, absolutely, it's still a fasted ride because there are no calories. All you're doing is just making it easier for your body to absorb the fluid that you're drinking.
Yes, and but on the first question, what you really kind of want to do on a fasted ride is more of a light session. I would do around. I used to do fasted rides when I was training for racing, and I kind of did before breakfast, like an hour, steady. I call it crystal cranking.
Was that an hour of fastest zone 2 watt bike by any chance?
Oh, that's my secret. You can't give everyone away. No. So I would stick to going light, just so you really want to burn fat and not really damage muscle. So.
Yep. Also, you're not really that fueled up, so to try and go out and do a high intensity session, you're just going to end up with a lower quality. So you're going to find like this horrible middle ground that you don't really want to be in. So,
and you will bonk eventually.
Yeah, and pretty quickly, I would have thought.
Yeah.
So, like James said, keep it light, and that's the way to do it. Next up, we have a question from, and I'm going to try and do as well as I can with this name, Ojas Upadea. Is training using a cadence monitor as effective as training with a power meter?
I mean, I'm going to go straight in there and say power meter is just the way to go compared to cadence and heart rate.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just too many variables with your heart rate. And there's also, quite a lot of variables with cadence as well. So to get a clear cut, number that you can work towards that isn't going to change, power is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great for cadence drills, hitting a certain number that you want to hold, 120 RPM for 5 minutes, for example.
Yeah.
But for actual structured training, you will definitely find bigger benefits and easier to make good gains with a power meter.
And they are expensive.
Yeah.
But there are cheap ones out there. So yeah, and don't worry if kind of one is under reading, because whatever your number is, you can work to that number.
Yeah.
So don't stress if your power's down or your power's up, depending on temperature and all that kind of stuff.
But also, you don't need to stress too much about the power meter, because you can still train with a cadence monitor and a heart rate monitor. It's just, if you really want to get those few extra % at the end of it, it will benefit you to have a power meter.
Because a lot of in time trials, you would do a time trial, and nowadays they sit on a certain power, but back in the day they used to just sit to their cadence. So they basically say, look, sit at 100 RPM, and that'd be a way of kind of gauging your effort. So thanks for watching, and if you did want your question to be in next week's show, then don't forget to put it in the comment section below.
Don't forget the hashtag Torqueback or GCN Training. Ask GCN Training.
And if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to give us a thumbs up.
Why not check out our shop whilst you're at it?
Yeah, these hoodies are pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie.